Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I'm coming to you with an information video. Yeah, something a little bit different. Often when I do a range report on a really cool gun, like this SR-15 from Knight's Armament, I will often do a field trip video, especially if there's not a lot of other videos out there on YouTube showing how to disassemble the gun. However, this SR-15 comes apart just like a standard M16 or AR-15, so there's no need to make that type of content today. But there is one thing that is different about the SR-15 from a standard AR-15, which we will compare to, and this is a Bushmaster A2 rifle that I have in my personal collection. And that is going to be the bolt carrier and the bolt. Now the bolt carrier really isn't that much of a difference, and yours actually might be the same as the Knight's Armament. The only difference between these two carriers that I can tell is the Bushmaster has a semi-auto cut in it, so this part of the carrier does not come all the way forward to trip an auto sear, which by the way, you are legally allowed to have a full auto bolt carrier in a semi-automatic rifle. The Knight's Armament is a full auto cut. And as far as I can tell, that's the only difference. Now, many companies will put a full auto bolt in their build. So as I said, that's the only difference that I can tell between these two carriers. However, the biggest difference is going to be with the bolts. So let's take a look here at the Bushmaster first, and you can see that the locking lugs on this are square, and all the cuts are at 90 degrees. Now this is a typical AR-15 or M16 style bolt. Nothing really special there. You've probably seen it 100 times. And here is the Knight's Armament SR-15. And as you can see, those locking lugs look a little bit thicker at the bottom. And that's because these are cut at an angle and the tops are a little bit more rounded. Many companies today, in order to make the bolts be a little bit more reliable, are cutting their lugs like this. It helps with the locking surfaces and the lockup and cutting through any grime that might be in the barrel extension. So Knight's is doing this, and I'm sure having that base be a little bit larger gives it a little bit more durability. And by the way, you might hear some sounds in the background. I am actually getting a new roof put on my house today, so sorry for any sounds that may come through on the video. But now let's talk about the biggest difference between these two bolts, and that's actually going to be the extractor, which honestly is the heart of an AR-15. Many times companies trying to make their guns run better will spend a lot of time on the extractor. The military even adds things to the extractor like an O-ring to help with the rigidity of the spring and the longevity of that spring to help with extraction. Over here again, we have the standard AR-15 or M16. You guys have probably seen this hundreds of times. It is solid right here on the surface. And here is the extractor on the SR-15 from Knight's Armament. And as you can see, it has a little cutout in there. And there's a little tiny J-spring. Yeah, just like you would find on an AR-15 hammer. And that J-spring holds in the pin for the extractor. That is definitely a little bit different. Now, I don't know why they do this because I've never had an issue with these pins on a standard AR-15 coming out. They're always held in place by the spring tension. I've just never had an issue, but they feel like that needs to be retained a little bit more. So that's probably going to be a little bit harder to punch out. But let's go ahead and take these extractors off, and I'll show you one other thing that the SR-15 has a huge upgrade on over the standard. Let's take apart the standard one first. Let's push that pin through, take that out. There's the extractor, and there is your spring in the back and that little O-ring I was talking about. So that's pretty standard fare, and this is the way M16s and AR-15s have been built for a very long time. Now let's take a look at this Knight's Armament bolt. Let's push that pin through. It's definitely held in place a little bit stronger because of that J-spring. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to get out. Let's see if we can push it through any further. All right, so here we go. It was definitely in there a lot tighter. And as you can see on this pin, we have a little cutout in it, and that's where that spring is going to ride. Now, let's take off the extractor. And as you see, there's no spring on this side, but there are 2 springs in the bolt itself, and you can take these out. And the reason I'm also making this video is in case you do own an SR-15, you will know how to take this apart. It comes apart exactly the same, but you do have 2 springs in here instead of 1, and those can fall out. So that's really important to know. I'm also making this video because I know some of you guys are gun nerds like myself and love to know how guns are built and designed and how they work. Now, having 2 springs like this is going to help with the power of the spring and the extractor, and of course make the gun more reliable. I find this to be such a cool upgrade. It's very simple and probably makes the gun run and eject so well, like I showed you in that range report. So that is the main difference between the Knight's Armament and a standard AR-15, and really the biggest difference that I can find between these particular firearms. So I really think this is a huge and really cool upgrade to do on a bolt. So maybe more companies will follow suit in the future, but they do go back together exactly the same way. So the manual of arms of disassembly, exactly the same. So there you go. That is the main difference between a Knight's Armament bolt and a standard M16 or AR-15 bolt. And hopefully some of you gun nerds enjoyed this. So I just wanted to show you. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And did you learn anything? I know I did. So, as always, thanks for watching.